So wanted to come back on here, show y'all where things are at. Pulled everything off the turner the day after, basically just letting it sit. I'll start with this guy. So this one is our empty candle jar that I covered in the glitter from the flamingo tumbler and covered it with resin. Looks really good. Don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Probably put some vinyl on it or something, create some kind of saying. Don't know, but at least it's a step further. Probably won't add anything to it for a little bit, just because it's not my primary project I'm working on, and I don't have extra stuff that I need to put on it. Second one, this was our jar that I covered in the stone mica powders. I'm going to try to get this guy out of here. Let's see. It's in there pretty good. This one's one that comes apart, so I'll get him back together in a minute, but he came out pretty good too. Still very rough because of the stone micas, and I'll want to clean up his edges and then figure out what I'm going to do with him as well, because again, he was just more of a bonus since I had product. So, you know, that's just how it goes, to not be wasteful. Put that guy back together, sort of. Back together. Let's line them up better. There we go. Okay. So, got a little bit of resin on him. Not bad. So, that one's pretty good. Set that aside. I also am going to take this out of the space. Here's what I used for the one jar. Got a little bit of resin on this piece of tape, but overall, looks really, really good. So, that cleaned up good. And so, I am going to take this apart though, because the next one that I'm going to do is going to be a, I'm probably just going to do a double turner on with these two cups. So, because I'm going to do two of the, a 2-tone spinner, I'm going to take this one apart just so that it's out of my way. It's just so clunky. And while I do the next steps of this, I just want to have it out of my way. So we'll take these arms off, and then I'll show you we'll have room, and I can show you the cups and this other piece that I actually did a mold on and am able to show you how it came out. So just read your tumbler instructions, but the ones that I've always had are pretty simple. They just have these spinner arms and a little screw and nut bolt thing, and I keep my nut bolts with the spinner, but take the arms off, and then I store the arms in a separate container. Oh, there went one of my cups. So this has glitter on it, but I think it's pretty fun. I always try to kind of clean it off when I'm getting it wrapped up and put away, just because then it's ready for the next round. So let me just throw this on the shelf over here, because I don't have a table that I can throw it on. Okay, these can just slide out of the way. Let me recover my cup. One of these cups here went flying. Alright, so here's one of the cups, as you can see, glittered and resin. This one ended up with a few bubbles on the bottom. Good news is we're going to be doing another layer of stuff, so it's not going to matter. I'm going to take this tape off, and some of the resin went onto the tape, which I'm glad that I had that in place. I don't know if I can get there we go. That brought everything out. So take the tape off of there. That piece looks good. But this got some of the extra resin, and it just pops then right off. Now, I knew this was going to happen with this mica, and I'm sorry, I somehow I tried to move my charging cord out of the way, and then I'm stepping on it. So with this stone mica, it popped up here, so we've got real rough edge that's going to have to get cleaned up on both of them. Like I said, some bubbles on the bottom, not overly worried. Same thing here on this one. Definitely had some resin carryover, but that's why we have tape. And then this one did pop some resin inside of it, so that's going to take an X-Acto knife to get that out. And ideally I'd want to do this probably within about 24 hours of doing the project, doing the resin, just because the resin's not as cured. Of course, my life, I'm coming back to this probably, shoot, 3-4 days later. So, yeah. So just an X-Acto knife. I'm getting just, be very careful because it is sharp. But I'm getting up underneath that resin, and if I can get under it just right, it will just pop right off. That other piece did. Oh, there it goes. Yay. Okay. Now the inside's good. Now our edge is, oh, no, just kidding. There's another piece. There we go. Okay, now we still have this rough edge, but that I'll be able to clean up with another tool here. Take that guy out of there. Move him out of the way. That way, now I'll be able to work without those in there. I can do the next step and not be concerned about that. This one, I missed a little bit of resin on the bottom. There's still just a rough patch of glitter. It got like a thin layer, but it's still shedding some of the glitter on me. Not really worried, because again, the next step that we're going to do is going to take care of that. You can see this stone mica glitter is all over my workspace. That's just part of it. But the nice thing about the silicone mat is it will wipe off. It's just that it tries to stick to the mat. So that's a little fun. Okay. So we did do this dump pour. Now this one's not ready to take out because he's not filled up. So he's going to just stay in there. Next time we do another pour and have extra resin, we will continue to fill him. He's just a little extra guy. This one was a dump pour that we finished though, because we were able to fill him up. So he's still a little rough on the edges, so there will be some doming and things I need to do, but ultimately he's ready to be checked out. So here's our rack, and then here's the fun main side. So this is an ashtray. It looks like, put in here cigarettes here, and the ashes go here. Not a smoker, never been, never will be, but hey, somebody might be and want something cool like that. Pretty fun. It's a cute one. Has some fun side layers too, just where it got layered in, which always makes it fun and exciting. You can also do it as like a tea light or something. It's pretty heavy though. It's a pretty heavy piece. Alrighty, so fun for a dump pour. Alright, now let's show y'all on these. Get my deburring tool here, and basically I'm just going to go around the tops, and you might see the resin flying because it's going to go flying. But basically, and it takes a little bit to get used to this, and I just scratched the side, but that's okay because we're going to put another resin on, coat of resin before this is over, so that won't be noticeable. But it takes a little bit getting used to it, but just nice and easy. This thing spins, so that's what gets a little bit hard with it, is just learning how to control. But then once you get the hang of it, I find in this kind of situation it is easier than the X-Acto knife, just because I have better control of it. So just going all the way around. I've got a couple spots I'm going to need to get the X-Acto knife out for. But for the most part, that cleaned up that rim very nicely. Of course, you know, the cup would get washed plenty of times before it's used. So, that was just a real thin piece, but I couldn't get it up without the X-Acto knife. You see, maybe you can see that there's like a scratch here. That's gonna get covered in resin. That's gonna get cleaned up. If that had been my final coat, I might have cried, because we'd have to then do another coat, but it's not. So this one's a little more rough, but you can see it's just flying off. Patch there. Get the X-Acto knife for. Just kind of keep working it. Well, like I said, if you do this at like right when you pull them, I wouldn't do it maybe right as I pull them off. Maybe like the 12 to 18 hour mark, that would be the best, just because the resin's gonna still be a little bit more pliable. It might come off a little bit easier at that point because it's not full cured. But I wouldn't do it right when I pulled them off at the 8 to 10 hour mark, just because at that mark you could still get fingerprints on your pieces. You'd have to glove up, so forth. There's just again, another real thin layer. Yeah. Look at that. Did it. Perfect. And it will get cleaned up more as we go along. So, again, not super worried. Now, this was our mat that I kept on because of the spinner. I just want to show y'all how easy resin comes off of these silicone mats. It just pops right off. So, any of these chunks that drip down, they just literally, you can just kind of roll it and it's going to pull right off. Now, the micro stuff is a little bit harder to get off. So I would go through and pick all this off, clean it up, dump it in the garbage, and then basically if it needed further doing, you could run some tape over it, or I would throw it in some dishwater soap and just try to get some more of that off. But ultimately, pretty easy. This is our cup that I let just sit. It's trashed. It's hard though, because the bottom had extra resin and actually leaked through, but it was sitting on the silicone mat, so it didn't hurt anything. This mat got tons of resin on it, some big old chunks, and it just, I mean, like, comes right off, and there you go. You've got these. I know some people will keep these and like cut it into pieces and fill real big molds with, which you could if you wanted to do that. I've done some things like that that have come out kind of neat. I go back and forth. Do I save? Do I not? It's back and forth. I don't know. Is it garbage? One man's treasures, or one man's trash is another one's treasures, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, for now, I'm just going to move them out of our way because I want to start the next step of these. But before I do that, I don't know if it really matters because we're going to have quite a bit of mess anyway. I'm going to have to put some wax paper down anyway, so. Alright. It just makes me feel a little bit better that it's a little more cleared up. You know, kind of thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my wax paper. I'm going to show you what our next step is going to be. I have to just check and make sure I'm still in there, guys. It's coming every so often. All right. So, if you have a Cricut, basically, your possibilities are pretty endless. So, I do have a Cricut. I don't have a setup that I can record how to do that at this point. So, maybe at some point I'll have a better setup for that. But basically, I cut a cheetah leopard print on my Cricut out of stencil vinyl. So this is a stencil vinyl. It's not true vinyl because I wanted something that's cheap, easy to do. Not super crazy, but that gave me the pattern that I wanted. And so I'm getting a piece of just transfer tape, just a smaller piece. I don't need one that's going to cover this whole thing. I just want one that's going to give us a guide to start. I probably shouldn't have had the wax paper down just yet, but that's okay. That's fine. We're going with it. It's all good. I don't know where one of my Cricut things is, so we'll use this guy. Just to give us some pressure. Alright, so the fun part is going to come that I'm going to transfer basically the stencil to our cup. Now, I didn't weed my stencil because what I want is the non-weeded part for this project. So it's almost self-weeding as I undo it, which is perfect. And then I'll have to weed the other parts. And I didn't cut it perfectly because this cup isn't perfect in the way it rolls and things. And so what I wanted to do was just give myself a good guide. So I wasn't worried about having overage because this isn't going to stay on the cup. This is just a guide for me, essentially. And it's leopard print, so, you know, we're not worried about it being perfect, I guess is what I'm going to say. This is where I feel like I need 8 hands. Can I be an octopus? Have like 8 hands, 8 arms. Hold it where I want it to be. Prevent it from sticking where I don't want it to be. Kind of thing. Okay. Again, I'm not gonna stress over perfection. Let me set up my chair so I can sit down here with y'all and actually get this how we want it. So basically it was kind of reverse weeding in the sense of I didn't want to go ahead and weed it because I wanted the offside. I didn't need all those little pieces. So then you might say, oh my, but you have all those little pieces now still in. True. But I take my weeding tool, which this weeding tool is just a mechanical pencil, took the lead out of it, and it is now got a needle in the place of the lead, and it is by far my favorite weeding tool. A piece dropped in here. I have some of the expensive Cricut ones, of course, that came with my machine. They're great. But I have found that this is my favorite. My homemade, my self-made one. I saw it on something when I started Cricutting. And I was like, oh, I gotta make one of those for myself. Went to the Dollar Tree, got some fun mechanical pencils. And I had plenty of needles. I sew, so I had tons of needles, as is. So I grabbed one of my needles and that fit in it. And basically I can push the top of the mechanical pencil and push it down, and the needle goes all the way away. And then when I'm ready for the needle to be back out, I just poke it like I would the mechanical pencil to get the lead, and voila. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm trying to push down some of my bubbles. If they're in the middle here, I'm not really worried about it. Basically, the stencil is to give me an idea. I'm going to put some Mod Podge on and put gold glitter to do our leopard spots. So it's not like this has to be super flat or perfect, because the Mod Podge is going to also give us a line when we tape it or when we put it down, but this is just kind of my guide. Now this is where it's going to get funky, because this is the edge of the meat. So I'm going to have to determine which spots are kept and which ones are not, and take out the ones that are not going to be kept. That is good. Just cut you out. There we go. Roll, roll, roll. That one's good there. Okay. Let's do this one. Let's just take you all the way out. Let's go a little bit with that one. I got one more. Or maybe not. I just stretch it and make it be a spot. There we go. There we go. We just created our spot. Now I need to go here though. Kind of a weird thing, but it's working. It's fine. We're gonna make it work. Look how pretty that red glitter is. It just still stuns me how pretty they are. So I'm gonna actually take my X-Acto knife, and I'm just gonna freeform, nice and gentle. The stencil vinyl's not super thick, so I'm just basically gonna freeform and cut that out of there so that I can make my own spot, my own leopard spot. And I wasn't super worried if I scratch the vinyl. It's all going to be covered. It's going to be covered by the spot with glitter. It's going to be no biggie. No biggie whatsoever. I think let's see what I do. And I'm trying to make it to where, like, it's not going to be obvious that there was a seam or a weird way, essentially, but just kind of make it more natural, I guess, is what I want to say. So, just slowly kind of creating that here with everything. It's working. This is the part that can always take time with things. I mean, the whole process actually can take time, I should say, because it's art, it's crafting. And truthfully, the more time we get in our craft space, it's more healing for me anyway, so it's what feeds my soul and gives me peace. So makes things in the world seem all right for another day. That's what I would say. Okay. This is kind of an odd spot, but we're gonna see where I make it work. And I'm not pressing like super hard with the X-Acto knife, y'all. Just a nice gentle slice to encourage the cut to make that come out of there. And basically I'm just trying to make it so it's not an abrupt line, because I want it to look more natural. And truthfully, with my needle, I can also, this stencil vinyl is so thin that I can kind of do that as well. I just keep taking the vinyl off my hand here so that I can, that looks good. I know like there is a spot there, and I think maybe I should get it free, because if I don't, I think that's gonna have like a weird gap in it. So I want to go ahead and clear that out of there, clear that vinyl out. So sorry, I paused, y'all. My husband came in. We're just getting a plan for the night. I was like, count me out until I gotta put the little one to bed. Crafting. So I got that one there. I think it looks good. So just keep going with weeding these spots out. Got really wrinkly right there, but I think we're good. We're good. I think it's gonna look really good. And I think that might be my last spot. I better, oh no, there's one on my thumb. I was like, I better take another pass around it just to make sure. Yep, let's do another pass or two around it. Okay. Like I said, not really worried about the bubbles, I guess, in the middle. Yeah, I'm liking it. Okay, so I don't want that to stick too long on the resin. This stencil vinyl is fine, but I don't want to end up leaving like a sticky residue on my cup that I have to clean up. So we are going to go ahead and get Mod Podge going and get this one done before we do our next cup. Just because, like I said, I just don't want to have that sticky residue on there. I don't want it to create a crazy mess that I gotta clean up. So I'm just gonna grab a silicone cup. I'm liking that for pouring the Mod Podge in. It's just something I happenstance found. Works really well. Bag back in. Keep our Mod Podge fresh. We need a new bag soon because this one's getting pretty roughed up. And that lid did not go on correctly. Sometimes when you're doing that, you do have to like on and off a few times, but it does save your Mod Podge. Let me get our glitter tray. Now for this one, I am only going to use one gold for ease. And I don't know which gold I'm going to use, so I guess I should choose that out. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to use gold. But I hadn't picked out the gold. These are more thicker golds or shaped golds. I don't want that. I want a finer gold, so let's look up here. I'll look in a few spots to see. I'm gonna bring these in the light and see think I like that one better out of those two. Let me just see if I have one other one. Let's see if I like it better. That drawer doesn't have thing. This drawer does. Well, I kind of like that one because it's more of a, what do I say? Kind of a brownie gold, but not like ugly brownie gold. More brownie, I guess. So, okay. I guess glitter dropped from the container into here. It's gold glitter, but I didn't even have it open. It's weird. Weirder things have happened. Alright, so if you recall, we don't need much Mod Podge, and I probably got a little bit too much on my brush for this first one. So we'll spread that out a little bit. It doesn't take much, just enough to get it to adhere. And because we're doing Mod Podge, we can do the tap method where we just tap it in and push it down and then turn it over. Now we're gonna get glitter. I'm gonna have to, you know, that's why also I like to pour my Mod Podge into a container so I'm not contaminating my big container with Mod Podge. If that makes sense. So try to do a few more spots than that time. Just feeling this out since I haven't done something exactly like this before, so you guys get to learn as I learn. And I like to just give it a little extra tap, especially because I'm doing such a thin coat of Mod Podge, so it's just gives it that extra little, hey, you need to stick here kind of thing. Don't come off of that spot. So I like to tell myself it works. Maybe it doesn't do anything, I don't know, but I like to tell myself it works. There's this little spot, I'm not going to worry about that, it's so tiny. And this is why I put the wax paper down, is the glitter. The glitter side is a pain to do. So when I'm doing glitter, oh, I didn't tap them, but it kind of, I mean, it kind of stayed. I'd say it stayed. It's pretty good. It's probably about the same. Maybe a little bit less just because I didn't, but anywho, it's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep putting layers of the Mod Podge on and do the sprinkle of the glitter. And that way, and then of course tap it. That way we get all these little spots. That's my goal, is to get the spots in place. So, putting them in here. It's just a little bit of patience and a process just to keep, you know, adding that thin layer. You get time, but you don't get a ton of time for the Mod Podge. Like I can see that spot that I did there is already drying. So you kind of have to work. That's why I can't paint the whole cup with Mod Podge and then be like, oh, okay, we're good. No, because it won't, you don't have that much time. It's like you have time, but not that much time. So, do it in phases. So I don't think I did that one. It sure was sticking there like I had. But I hadn't. I'm so excited to get this on and off so I can see if my creation is gonna work, what I have in my head. So I a lot of times design something in my head. I don't really write it down or anything. It's just I work through the process in my head. My favorite time, ironically, is as I'm falling asleep. I tend to work out some of the finer details that I've needed to figure out on a project. And that's what I found works for me. So I just work on the process slowly but surely in my head as I fall asleep, and then sometimes I fall asleep while I'm thinking about it. But a lot of times if I come up with a really good idea, I'm like, ooh, I got it. And then I'll have it. And then when I wake up, I'm like, oh yeah, I solved it last night. Yay, I have it worked out. So now, if it was anything else, like, hey, you got to remember to grab that before you go to work, I will not remember it as I'm falling asleep. That I have to make myself a note or write it down. But when it comes to crafting, I guess because it's a passion of mine, it sticks in my brain. That's all I can figure. Alright. That looks really pretty. I like the contrast of colors. Not that the blue's going to stay, of course, but it's pretty cool having the red pop through. So you could do like a reverse thing like that even. But. And I could have cut out spots and did the spots just as vinyl. And I thought about that. But the person I'm making this for somebody specific, and I feel like it needs the glitz and the glamour. So I had already decided I wanted to do all glitter spots, which that posed a little bit of a thinking process for me, because I wanted to figure out how I could do it without ending up with just a complete glitter mess. And if I hadn't put resin on first, guess what? All this would be one big mess, because we'd be taking glitter off, we'd have the red glitter, or if we couldn't put a stencil on because the stencil would have stuck to the red glitter and peeled it off. So this was what I came up with, is that I would do the glitter for red first, and then I would come in and do some resin, and then I would proceed to do the gold glitter. So that's why I say we'll see if it works. Because this is one that I worked in my head and I haven't tried yet. So it's like a learning process. See, I work those out for y'all. If you're following these, I don't know. Or maybe you watch them for fun. I don't know. But if you're like me, I watch crafting videos for inspiration and how-tos and learning. There's a piece of vinyl. Get it out of the way. I'm going to try to do these 3 spots too. I'm getting a little bit more, I don't want to say, less accurate, a little bit more crazy with my Mod Podge, and I'm pushing it a little bit further to get a few more spots in at a time. I kind of start out like cautious, and then I get a little bit crazy and like, oh, I could do just that little area. So I might have to slow it down a little bit, but it's looking good. I can't wait to take the blue off. That will be our next step. Then we still have one whole one to go, but I don't think I'll do it tonight. I think I'll get this one done. It's already pretty late, and I gotta get littles to bed, so, you know, fun times. But at least this one will be this step further. Just kind of tap those in, and then tap the bottom. The nice thing is, because there's not Mod Podge where these spots are, it just basically rubs right off for the most part. And any little straggler pieces of the gold I'm not worried about, because I'm going to put the layer of Mod Podge in. It's just more so that I don't get a whole thing of glitterified Mod Podge on my brush, basically. and end up with a funky glob or something of that nature. And this is why I wanted the stencil, just to give me a good spot. A good guide. I did not want to freehand spots. I did go through that thought, though. I was like, well, maybe I freehand them. And I was like, I don't think I could freehand very well. I don't want to freehand leopard spots. I was like, okay, we gotta figure out how to incorporate the vinyl and the Cricut. Let's have the Cricut cut the spots for us. So, and if you have a Cricut, then you know what I mean. That does help. Or if you've researched getting your Cricut, you'll know. So, I have the Explorer Air 2. This is not like one of the originals, but it's definitely not one of the newest fancy ones. But it all runs off of Bluetooth, which is perfect. And I pay for their Cricut Access, which is like $10 a month. Some months I don't ever use it. My husband even recently asked, he was like, do you think we could cancel this? I was like, no, I use it. And then I was like, maybe I could, maybe I should, because I don't use it a ton. And then this month, literally, I've set it up. I mean, this is like my third or fourth time I set it up this month. And I was like, well, this would not be a good month to cancel it, because just this project would have cost me $10 to cut it if I didn't have Cricut Access. Because I was like, maybe I don't set it up enough. I could just pay for my designs when I need to, if I'm needing something from it, and I'll just pay for it, and that will be cheaper. Because sometimes it's like 99 cents or a couple bucks for the whole design. But, you know. I was like, so that was my quandary of like, okay, am I wasting money? But then this month, like I said, this project alone was $9.99, which is the monthly fee. So I was like, well, kind of is beneficial for me to have it, because I did a bunch of other projects with it. So, you know, comes in waves, I guess that's what I would say. Alright, so we're getting close, y'all. This is where it's a little funky. I'm gonna do just like a little dot kind of there. I have one more round after this. And I do have a circle cut for the bottom, but I probably won't do it tonight because I don't want to mess this part of it up. I dipped into some wet Mod Podge because it really stuck to my finger. And that will just warm water wash off. It's not a big deal. Okay. Yeah. That one had a little much Mod Podge too, because just stuck my finger right in it. Okay. So now comes the fun of, let's take this off without taking off our leopard prints. So I'm going to just kind of, because it's the stencil vinyl, it rips pretty easily. So I kind of want to do it like a band-aid. If you left this on until the Mod Podge sealed, you'd probably lose some of your spots, because I wasn't just painting directly in the spot. I was getting a little bit outside the spot, so when that dries, it would ultimately try to peel your spot up. So that's why I want to do it while the Mod Podge is still relatively wet. So it's kind of like taking a band-aid off, trying to do it sort of quickish. if you can. And you're gonna always have stubborn areas, of course. That's just part of it. And I'm trying to not have this like hit anything, and I'm putting my thumb in a spot that doesn't have spots, so that I'm not like peeling a spot. I see that piece of vinyl. I'll come back for him. Just wanted y'all to know I see it. Oh, this bottom is miserable. Slow but surely, we're almost there. Okay, now that one's pretty stuck. So, use my tool. Oh, there's a piece of vinyl. I see one here too. Oh, there's a big old piece of vinyl in between. Look how cute that is though, y'all. Like, okay, that's just, so there, it's got extra glitter in between here, and what I'll do is with that Mod Podge is dry. Actually, I'm gonna just do it now gently. Just gonna go in between, and I don't want to go like on the spots per se, but in between, and just brush some of that off gently. I'm not using force with it, not getting crazy, just trying to bring that glitter off of there. It sticks due to the static electricity. That's just glitter. My light keeps kind of flickering. I don't know why. I don't know if y'all can tell that or not, or if it's just me. Maybe I'm losing it. I feel like it's the light. So just not going in any like particular order or fashion, but just trying to get some of the excess off. We can come back once the Mod Podge is fully dry and get more of it. Mod Podge probably dry in a couple hours would be fully dry, but y'all know me, and you already know that I gotta put a kiddo to bed, so it's nighttime. So basically when I get done here, I will turn off the stuff in this space and I will be done for the night. So I think that looks super cute and super good. It's a little funky right there. I might have to do a little touch up of Mod Podge when I do the other cup, just to touch up that area, just because it looked like that one spot didn't sit right, or it might have gotten bumped and it scratched the glitter spot. Which happens. And it's not gonna be perfect. I mean, there's gonna be gold glitter in between the spots. It's just gonna happen. But I think overall, I'm super happy with that process. Look at the little one I did on the bottom. Looks cute. But I don't want to do the bottom yet because I want this to dry too before I do the bottom. So yeah, hope that you guys are enjoying, and that if you're on your weekend or it's middle of the week and just some relaxed time, that you're getting some relaxation and peace and joy. And I will be back again soon, and we'll do the other one and get the bottom on this one. I'm now obsessed with getting the glitter cleaned up in the middle. I kind of do that. I get obsessed with something. I'm like, oh, I gotta keep going. It has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's perfect the way it is. So, anywho, but yeah, we'll come back and we'll do the other one. so that we can get this duo all done. I'm gonna actually set it upside down on my space just so that it's there. This will all go in the garbage. That Mod Podge, I mean, I have enough to do the other one. I have a little baggie. I'll throw it in the baggie. I'll see if it saves. If not, it's a small enough amount, but I'm not gonna sit here and stress myself over it. I mean, granted, I try to save everything and not be wasteful, but sometimes you just gotta call it, and it's okay. So I'll put it in this little baggie and we'll see. It'll be an experiment. We'll see what happens. But like I said, hope y'all are enjoying, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye.